Radio on Super Talk 1270. Now, here's Travis Feist and Rob McLeod.
Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Unriveted, a Dakota Customs original podcast. I'm your host, Travis Feist, and with me, and always, is my co-host, Rob McLeod.
What's up, guys? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I think fall's coming.
Definitely coming. The weekday evening bike rides are getting less and more chilly.
Mm-hmm. Seems like it's cooling off a lot faster.
I remember it was like just last week, I put the bike in the garage. It was like 10:15, and last night I put the bike in the garage. It was 8:15. I was like, well, what am I going to do for another 2 hours?
I know. It seems weird. And, and it's like this summer, I'm trying to be at work by like 10 to 7 at the latest, and the sun's already out. It's nice out now. It's 7 o'clock. It's dark out. So you can tell it's coming. It's definitely changing.
It's in the air.
Yeah. But it ain't slowing us down. We definitely got a lot of stuff going on. Pretty jacked up for that new dually that's coming in our shop. Those wheels that came in.
Yeah.
What are they, the VTXs?
JTX forged. There's kind of like 2 or 3 levels to forged wheels. There's like KG1 and American Force are kind of around the same quality. Mm-hmm. And then on these, customer was, he kind of gave us some free rein, and I just kind of threw out some suggestions and decided to run some JTX forged, which you look at the milling, and it is a cut above the rest. I'll show you a spot on that wheel where it's like there's a part on it that looks like a Rolex watch.
Really?
Yeah. You can't look. It's not too noticeable until you really look for it. It's like, wow, they went into that amount of detail. So they're kind of more along the lines of like Forgiatos, and that's what you hear of all these multi-million-dollar rappers talk about. They all name drop Forgiatos. So that's like the kind of status we're dealing with on this new Ram dually. Kind of an intricate lift kit dually with factory rear air on top of leaf springs. I know in the past we've always just converted these Rams to just straight Kelderman air ride all the way around and just went away with leaf springs. Well, this one will be lifting while still running both suspension setups. So I know I kind of briefed you on it yesterday, but this ain't just no bolt-on kit.
Right. And
so it's going to be cool, though.
Right. And there's only like one company, I think, right now that makes that kit for that.
that offers
style.
the components, and then they leave it up to guys like you to make it work. So the parameters on that rear axle housing are going to be tight for you. And then with all the extra, we'll call it government specialties, government control systems on this truck, you'll have to trim the def skid plate and the T-case indexing ring. It's got to be dead on, or it'll be causing some problems. So yeah.
Well, at least that's good. There's no pressure there.
No, not at all. Who would? No.
And
I mean, how would you operate if you weren't under pressure?
Actually, I probably wouldn't know what to do. Actually.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's like today.
When you're in the trenches, man, that's when the best comes out.
Yeah, but it's just every once in a while it'd be nice to get pulled out of the trench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. But it's like even like today, it's we had our morning meeting and it's just like, hey, I got a list of stuff in my mind that needs to get done. And, you just start running and working and doing what you need to do. Then all of a sudden it's like you look down and it's almost 2 o'clock and it's like, man, I thought it was like 11. Days definitely fly by.
We're going to put this on Jason Bauman with Midwest Seal Company. He interrupted you and took an hour away from you.
Yeah, wow.
That upsets me.
He's still a customer, though.
Yeah, I know. But at least he'd be accepting of that.
Yeah, that's all right, though.
Yeah, no, it's
a little sidetrack is worth it, though. So it's all right.
But it's nice though that a lot of our customers, already understand before I even tell them that like our schedule doesn't work with like your standard lube shop, or like, it's not just we got 45 minutes an hour. It's like sometimes things take a little bit longer, and our schedule just can't stay as consistent, you know, in relation to the kind of work we're doing. So
Well, and it's hard too for us because it seems like there's so many shops out there that they can schedule because there's a book time for everything. You know, for the most part, there's allowed time to do stuff. And when it comes to what we do, there really is no book time that says how long something's supposed to take, you know, and other than like the lift kit's kind of part of the deal of it. But most of it is like we're trying to make stuff work and fit that's just not really 100% designed most of the time. So
yeah. So
it's hard. So even scheduling that part of it is tough. And I feel like, honestly, for what we do a pretty damn good job, honestly.
Right.
I mean, there's a give and take, little, you know, like gray area, but for the most part, we're pretty good at our scheduling.
And I think what I've kind of learned is as long as I just make the customer aware, they're fine with it, you know?
Communication.
Yeah. That being said, I'm glad the customer, I mean, we got that 23 F-150. That'll be a cool little truck.
Oh, yeah. That'd be a nice one.
6-inch with a bunch of suspension upgrades, 35s on 20s. Well, that customer was nice enough to let me know when he wanted the truck by. May have jumped him ahead of a few trucks, but that's fine.
Yeah. And, you know, in that sense, we don't do a lot, but...
No, not really.
That
That's
case,
why I just, like, it's kind of funny that now it's happening as we're talking about it.
Yeah. But it just seemed to work out in that case, so we just jumped on it and made it work. But, you know, even getting back to that dually, I mean, that's going to be a pretty cool Dodge that we're doing on that. And if you ever see that white Ford out cruising around...
Wow, does that thing look great?
Yeah. I mean, the customers brought it by the store a couple times, and that thing is pretty cool.
I was driving through Main Street in Mandan. He was behind me. It's like that thing just looks mean going down the road, but classy. You get up to it, it's like, yeah, but it's like it's got a tough look to it. But this Ram dually, not going to be far off. I mean, it's going to 6.5 inch. We did end up going with the 4-link front end, not the radius. He said the radius angle for how long those radius arms are in the front, they just get a little tight. When he said on a 4-inch kit they work great, but on this 6-inch kit, run a 4-link sole. That'll be a little bit different from what you're used to seeing.
Yeah,
but
nothing shocks me anymore. I mean,
these new trucks, they're just getting so.
It is.
There's just so much to them and so much tied into them that that just makes any other modification that much more difficult.
It is. It's a challenge, but again, I enjoy it. What we should do is we should figure out a photo shoot with you know, we have God, what's his name with the Denali again?
Ross?
No, the dually.
Oh, Ernesto?
Ernesto, yeah. We should get him and spend a whole day cleaning his truck again, and then do a picture of with the Denali, the
Ford.
Super Duty, and then the Ram.
Yeah.
All lifted. That'd be a good little cool picture to take.
Yeah. I feel like Art's truck got overshadowed in the last photo shoot just because the way it was parked. I don't know. They still look great, but I just feel like, I don't know.
Pictures don't do those trucks justice. No. That's for sure.
Yeah,
you know, it's
either
crazy.
which way, I guess.
Yeah, it's the pictures that you guys took of them was cool, but seeing that thing in person, yeah, it does. I mean, even Ernesto's Denali, I mean, that thing looked cool in the pictures, but you actually get up to it and you see it. That thing is big.
It's big.
It's just tough.
It's big.
Yeah.
I wish. I'm hoping that. So right now, just on that new Ram coming in, we're just doing these high-end wheels on 37s in this Trick BDS lift kit. I'm hoping I can kind of talk them into doing it, you know, with some more aesthetic modifications like we did to Arts. Probably won't run bumpers, but just to like make it stand out more. It's like, oh, that's just another truck with lift kit wheels and tires on it. Like, let's do it how we finish out trucks. So, that's why we got to get yours like as we got to get your Super Duty or a Super Duty. It don't matter whose it is. It just needs to be at the shop. But just like,
So you're referring to your Super Duty?
no,
Oh,
we could actually just keep our Super Duties the way they are, and then
Right.
just get one shop Super Duty, and that's just like, here, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, as kind of like a catalog.
yeah. Or we can take pictures of the ones we do for our customers, and then we can see like, hey, we did this on this truck, and because you know how expensive that is. And with your wages, I can't really afford a Super Duty just to throw a ton of money at for advertising. But
I don't
just
know
saying,
if I got a side ache or did you just hit me in the
Man.
side?
so
Ow.
just saying. I mean, if I get rid of you, I could probably buy a brand new truck, but that won't get me very far. So we'll just stay with
I
it.
mean, a brand new truck's a brand new truck, and
Yeah, nah. We'll maybe wait. We'll take pictures for now, and we'll use those. But
yeah, but no, it's just
But sometimes it's nice for people to actually see and touch versus, like, I get what you're saying.
yeah, and it's like all the little things just can finish out a truck much more than just doing a lift kit, wheels and tires. Like the great job we do on smoke and tail lights and third brake lights.
Even like Colton's truck. So he brought that in for us to do a fifth wheel on it and tinted tail lights. And while it was in there, it's like, hey, let's take the decals off, and then rearranged his badging. And even his wife, like, soon as she saw it, she's like, hey, I noticed the badging. She picked it out right away. And she even noticed, like, man, that just made a difference just by replacing it and moving and just putting like those little touch to it.
Yeah.
How even she picked it out, and she's like, I love that. And it just made a huge difference on his truck.
It really did.
Yeah.
Seeing him driving this morning, it's like I picked out his truck from a mile away, and we didn't do a whole lot to it as far as it. So, but yeah, I think we still will be doing 22s on that truck
Yeah.
on 35. So that'll. Have you seen The Big Lebowski?
Yeah.
It's the rug. It just ties the room together.
Dude.
I said that to Dyke, the guy with the Harley tank.
Yeah.
And I was like, so we're referring to his Razorback tank that we did, and he never saw the movie. I was like, yeah, it's like this tank we finished off for you is like the rug. It just ties the room together. And he just looked at me like, what are you talking about, man? And I was like, you've never seen The Big Lebowski? He's like, no, I haven't. I was like, that'd been a lot cooler if you did.
Yeah, you would totally understand it. You know, and there's one other phrase that I'd love to say from that movie, but I don't think we can say it on the air. But that's a classic show.
The Dude.
The Dude.
Yeah, I like that show.
But no, we've got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of cool projects coming in. Can't wait. The other thing too, like I kind of want to talk a little bit about was it last Thursday, I think it was, we went to the Mandan Progress organization
that was nice.
supper.
Yeah. They did a
think
great job
last
at that
Thursday.
event. Was that a first annual?
No,
Third.
his 30th birthday, but it was so they combined with another organization because that magazine was only the second issue, but it was
That's why there was cake. Well, it was a birthday party.
no, I thought wasn't it Christie's birthday? Is that what it was? Oh, Progress's birthday. Oh, well, you know what? I don't care. We got birthday cake, regardless of how it turned out. But so, anyways, there was cake,
Brownies.
and brownies. But we were Matt and what was his name? Arlen. Yeah, the guys that are in charge of that organization personally invited us over to the supper that they put on Thursday night at the park in Mandan. And
Who did the catering there?
well, I think Arlen cooked.
Oh,
But I don't know who supplied the food, but he cooked, and
That was good.
Man, that was
Like-
very good.
very rarely do I have a steak that's been in a warming platter, and it still tastes delicious. I mean, normally that's
Right.
not how you have steak.
But it's one thing if you do a steak for 4 people, but when you do a steak for 50 people and it was
that too.
good,
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty darn. That's really good. But they did. They put on a appreciation supper to a bunch of businesses around Mandan. They had a silent auction there. It was a nice little get together at a bar and great food and
That was a nice, beautiful evening too.
yeah, it was. And little did I know. So they came out with their Garage Edition magazine, and they did articles on most of the garages around Mandan. And I was chosen to be on the cover of the magazine, and that was pretty cool, you know. And I just couldn't figure out why they wanted us to come there so bad. I mean, I know that I figured it was probably mostly you, Rob, but I couldn't figure out why they wanted us to come there that bad. But I figured, you know, it was probably a good thing that we get out in the community a little bit more. And so having you guys come with me to this deal just to show, because you deal with a lot of people. I mean,
Yep.
you talk to, and you're the front guy. And then, you know, you got Amy and Mary, you know, they also deal with a lot of our communicative people too on who we do business with. So I think it was a good choice to have all of us go there to that supper. And when we were in line registering, they had all the new, these magazines just came out, like it was just released. And I don't know, I probably sat there for at least half an hour walking through the place, looking at the table, everything. And still didn't even dawn on me that was our shop and our picture of me on the front cover. And it didn't even dawn on me until I think Mary actually pointed it out right away that it was, of course, that Amy picked it out right away that that was me on the front cover, and that was quite the honor. So I want to say thank you to the Mandan Progress Organization for choosing Dakota Customs for the front page on the cover. That was pretty cool.
Maybe that's a good thing that you didn't notice yourself on the cover, because that means you usually don't judge a book by its cover, so you don't even look at it.
Very true. But I have learned, dude, man, I've learned for years never ever ever judge.
No,
because
I was just making a joke. Sometimes they're not very good.
No, I get it. But again, you know, I just want to say, hey, thanks. That was quite an honor. You can get those magazines at, I think they're free. They hand them out at a lot of, I think, like Dan's and stuff like that. So there's articles in there. There's other garages in there too that you can read about. So it's a pretty good size magazine. But
it's funny, we were and no offense to that customer that you were on that truck you're working on, but like you were putting a coil spacer leveling kit into like a base model Ram, and that picture's on the cover. It's like, that's pretty basic day for Travis. They could have easily like had you throwing sparks, cutting out a factory cross member on a brand new on a brand new GM, and that would have been like, imagine like a brand new Denali and you throwing sparks all over it, cutting out a cross member.
Well,
that would have been a shot.
right, but that was a brand new Ram.
It was a brand new Ram.
Yeah, but it's and to be honest with you, I don't even remember them taking that picture, to be honest with you. I think they were doing that when they were setting up, because I vaguely even remember this deal to be honest with you, I actually thought that was the crew that came in, because we were going to be doing a commercial this year for football. And I actually thought that that was the filming crew. And it's like, now when I look back, it's like, well, I should know better, because those aren't the people I'm usually dealing with. But we've been so busy that I wasn't really paying attention. So I thought, they're just going to come in and grab
I remember.
grab some live shots. So I looked over and I seen they're setting up equipment, and it didn't, like before, you know, if you go back 7, or even back when I first started my business way back in the late 90s, you know, if a camera crew or somebody came in, like, you stop everything and you're like, whoa, what's this?
That's exactly what I was about to say.
And it's not, I don't know how to say this, like, with not being, I don't want to say arrogant, but it's
No, I
just
know
like
exactly what you're
but
saying.
I'm kind of used to it in a way, just because of the fact like we get so much
Yeah.
traffic coming through our shop. Let's kind of put it that way.
Yeah.
So when you look over and you see somebody, you're just like, oh, Rob is either giving another tour or somebody's here doing an interview or looking or taking pictures to where it's like, I don't just take it way that far when I see somebody come into the shop because I'm just used to seeing people in there. So I looked over and it's like, well, it just must be the people taking, because again, throughout our year, as we're working, Mid-Continent does come over every so often and they'll just film for like a half an hour taking shots and stuff to put together commercials that, you know, how I want them ran. So they just randomly come in and take pictures. So again, I look over and I'm thinking, oh, they're just here to take more pictures, and it doesn't.
And yeah, not to come off like we're the Kardashians or anything. Man, I left that one out there for you.
Yeah.
But anyways, whether it be Mid-Continent, the city of Mandan, you know, or if it's like students choosing our shop for like their media class projects.
Yep.
We have people coming in and wanting to take photos of the entirety of the shop. And for probably the past year, that's happened once a month. So it's like, I can't sit there. I've gotten used to it too. I was like, just go do your thing, stay out of the way, be safe about it. And that's what they were doing when they took that shot. They were.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we're not. Our shop does receive a lot of exposure, and that's kind of the cost of it. Not even a cost. That's just kind of a side effect of it.
Right. So and it's crazy because like I said, I looked over and I didn't even think nothing of it, and I'm like, hey, I got to get this job done. I have to work, and a lot of people know that, you know, other than like, I know you said that about Bauman and Midwest Seal, but even he understands too.
Yeah,
like, hey,
I'm just...
and I even like, how many times has mom come in and I'll actually get mad because she's like, well, I peeked my head in the door and you're busy, so I just left. And it's like, well, I get it. I'm always busy. I've always got something going on. You know, I'm not there to just hang out. Like I've got deadlines. I work just like everybody else, you know.
I've had to tell my old man that. I was like, Dad, like sometimes he'll bring me my mail. I don't know why he does that. I don't know why my mail goes to his house. I have no idea. But anyways,
yeah.
For new listeners, that's kind of a running joke since day one. I think.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know. It kind of
better.
comes and goes.
Yeah, but so it's like, hey, Dad, we all got stuff going on, and just let us be. God, this is driving me nuts.
For a while there, I didn't mind that he was coming in because I know like every once in a while he'd bring treats or coffee or something. So
yeah.
I was always good. Nice to see your dad, but no, I get it. It's so the point is taken that, you know, it's like we're even when people show up there, I mean, we're still working and we don't stop working. And when those people came in with the cameras, it didn't slow me down. I looked over and I just kept on working. And it's funny because after I seen that magazine on the cover, it's like I had to think for a second and be like, when was that picture even taken? Like, I don't remember anybody being there taking, like, what day was that? Because it just didn't even dawn on me, but it was a good article.
You probably didn't even notice him there. But it's like, that still was a cool shot, and who knows, we could have made a big deal out of having a photo shoot and could have not gotten an equally as good shot.
Yeah.
So either which way, they got the shot.
Yeah.
It looks great. Yeah.
It looked good. So, but I just want to say, hey, thanks. That meant a lot that we were chosen for the cover of that. So that was a pretty cool deal.
Yeah.
Have to say.
Yeah, it turned out to be a nice night.
Yeah.
Maybe getting back to some of the projects in the shop. I know I'm impressed. How impressed with you or on how that the drivetrain and the body's fitting on that chassis of that 37.
You know, and that's surprisingly, when you look at that truck, when it came in on the factory chassis and how it was and sitting in the back of the shop there, it looked rough. I mean, it's a rough, it's a detailed rough, because that truck's got a ton of scars on it. But I do feel that once we got it over on that Scott's chassis that we had ordered up for, that it's starting to really, like, the transformation that it's making looks pretty cool.
Like, I haven't looked at it too closely, and we haven't even remotely made. We don't even have the actual body bushings we're going to use, and we haven't fine-tuned any of the sheet metal gaps, and it fits flawlessly.
I know. And you know what's even insane about that whole deal? So that truck's a 37, and
maybe that just goes to show how twisted that frame was.
Well, what did you see how? So that whoever
it's been welded on,
yeah.
It was a grain truck.
So this truck, if you can envision it, this truck was from the very front by the radiator. That truck was welded solid rod all the way around the fenders, from the fenders to the running board, from the running board to the pickup box, and everything was welded in and tied into each other. So whoever had that pickup, you know, they used it so much that the fenders and everything were cracking, so they welded this thing up solid all the way around, and I don't know if that was a good thing.
Well, yeah, and even those welds were starting to crack out.
Yeah,
so now I think, yeah, we're fine, Amy. We're good. Thank you, though. Even just some of the repair work that Chris has started to do has really done a lot to the structural integrity of all the body. And I know the doors aren't on it right now, but it's like I was just like sitting there, and I walked past that truck, but it just caught my eye, and it's like, that thing fits up great.
It really does. Even the gaps, the lines, and everything on that truck fit really nice. But what I was going to say earlier, because as we're going through this, you know, and I go up to I was just walking on the truck the other day. This was about a month ago, and I'm kind of doing a visual list in my head of what needs to be ordered on this thing, you know, so we can, as we're moving along on this truck, you know, to kind of take it to that next step. And it's like, well, we got to order some bear claw latches for this thing. And then I go up to the door and I open it and close it, and that thing closes like it did right off the showroom floor. As beat up as that truck is, and I don't mean as rough of a life that thing has lived.
It was used.
Yeah, it was used. But man, those doors solid, just closed just as nice as that thing. And to think as how old that truck is, and those doors still close as nice as it does, is pretty impressive.
At Ford Motor Company. Just kidding. Yeah. Anyways, no, it's like, so it's crazy to think that, so there was a trap door in the box. They used this truck, which was in the grand scheme of things, it's tiny, to haul grain. That's what they used to transport grain. Now,
that was common though.
Yeah. And then honestly, it's like, so I used to haul grain as a business, and we'd have these big 50-foot hopper trailers, you know, capacity anywhere from 1,400 to 1,800 bushels. Well, this truck was probably good for 30 bushel. You know, it's crazy to think that's how they moved grain.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of makes you think about how the industry has progressed over time. It's like people could get by with just farming 100 acres because literally that's all they had the capacity to farm. Mm-hmm. That's all that was out there. Right. That's like, so now it's like you hear people farming 20,000 acres. You know, I think 10,000 acres is like the new norm for a good sized farm. Mm-hmm. But it's like they hauled grain with this pickup.
Yeah.
With this 37 Ford truck. That's what, and we wondered why it got beat up, you know?
Well, that's just it. Very seldom did. Back in those days, very seldom did somebody go buy a vehicle so that they could have, you know, like a nice vehicle to go to town with. No, they bought a vehicle and they used that thing for every possible way that they could to get their money's worth.
It was still the greatest thing ever invented.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just to have something with wheels and a motor that could make life easier, they use those vehicles, and this one got used. But it's cool looking.
It's cool.
It's definitely got the detail. It's definitely got the patina, and that thing's gonna run.
Thing's
like a
gonna
brand.
run.
It's gonna run.
Thing's
I mean,
gonna run.
that thing is. And I know we're gonna get some haters out there for putting that LS in it, but
Yeah, they'll all be behind that truck.
yeah, no, it is what it is. But anyways,
Think a guy could fit a Coyote in there? No.
you know,
Well-
I think you and I have, like, we've beat this horse to death on this conversation because we deal with it on a daily basis. Why people put Chevy in the Ford vehicles, and
Oh, yeah.
it's, you know, it's like I said, it is what it is. But
No, seriously, like, I don't care if you're the best fabricator. Sometimes if the customer wanted to keep the factory accordion style folding hood, I don't see a guy putting a Coyote in there.
no,
It'd
I
be-
mean, anything is possible.
anything is
'cause,
possible,
I mean,
but-
you can make anything work, but it's just even the cost of it. It is. I mean, when you research it, just the cost of going down that road is so much more money that when you look at the majority of the people that build these vehicles, you know, they're building it not just because they want to have something that's period correct or it has to be all like manufacturer correct. They're building it because it's something sentimental, and they want to put their money towards other parts of the build because everybody has a budget. And it does make a big difference, you know, going down the all Ford, and it doesn't even mean Coyote. It just, even if you want to keep it all Ford, it's expensive. And a lot of people
Yeah, it is.
it's not in their budget. And I'm not here to tell them that they can or can't do it. That's just how it works a lot of times. And
Sometimes, and you know,
it's doable.
and it all depends on the customer, because to the right customer, it is money well spent. Mm-hmm. You got an all Ford. To others, it's like, well, it ain't money well spent. I'd rather see that in interior or stereo or air conditioning or something like that. So,
Or even the brakes, or, you know, the running gears. So, but it's, you know, we do let people know it is an option, but hardly ever do people go down that road just because of what the expense offset is. But anyways, we can go down that. That's a whole nother pot
for sure.
Because I
LS
mean,
we should schedule that one. Who could we schedule that one with?
We should almost.
Jordan's kind of an LS guy, so I don't know if that would work. We kind of need someone.
We should get somebody in here that's a diehard, pretty legit LS guy. And then we should get somebody in here like Lundstedt or somebody that's a pretty like Ford guy.
Yeah.
And then like, let's have like a debate on why people, or what's the reason behind it. I think,
It's going to be pretty even.
yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, I was in
Arizona?
Yeah, at not Arizona. I was in Reno at the Hot August Nights car show. I think that's where it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where it was. This was a couple of years ago, quite a few actually. And there was a 34 coupe. I can't remember what year it was. I got a picture of it, but they had a V-twin Harley Davidson motor in it, and that's what powered that car. And surprisingly, it did pretty darn good job. So you can put anything in there.
Well, yeah, it's like, I mean, if it was a twin cam, it's definitely making a lot of power. But
Yeah. But who would ever thought of putting a Harley motor in an old coupe? But again, anything's possible.
still, even if that was a factory 96,
Yeah, it probably was.
it probably made double the horsepower of whatever was in that car.
All right.
You know,
Yeah. So, but yeah, that 37 is actually looking really good. I'm proud on how that thing's coming along. It's pretty crazy how you can build a vehicle and still do I'm going to say like top-notch quality job, even with it being rusted and patina, if that makes sense. Because, I mean, this truck has beat the crap. It's got weld stitching all over it. It's had a rough life. So we're not changing the structure of it, but even putting the rockers and the floor and everything in there, this thing is still going to be sealed tight. It's still going to have good gaps. It's still going to look pretty legit, even though we're, you know, kind of get what I'm saying here. Like,
Yeah, no,
we're still
exactly.
we're still
Yeah.
building this truck in the mind and building it to be perfect in a patinaed way, if that kind of makes sense. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. It's kind of like what Steve Darnell does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he makes it look like it was never touched, but then you look at it, it's like,
Oh yeah, I was touched.
this was done by an expert.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool because these customers, they're super down to earth. But you would, if you didn't know them, you know, like how I know them, you would think they would not have this type of hot rod, or they're not this style of hot rod. They're like, I don't know how to say this, but it's like, you would think they wouldn't even be into hot rods. You would think they was like, oh, I'm good with my Buick, you know?
Yeah.
But no. John's an engineer. He knows he knows what a good foundation can do no matter the application. So that's why we got a custom chassis under this thing. So, John's actually, pretty soft spoken and not really a man of many words. But he's extremely intelligent. He knows exactly what's going on. And it's cool that, A, he chose us as a shop, and B, he's letting us, take this route with this project. It's cool.
It is funny when you say that, because if you'd meet this couple, you would look at them and be like, "There's no way that you own a hot rod, especially like this kind of a hot rod."
For real.
Just if anything, if you were to meet them, you're probably thinking like, okay, if you were to have a hot rod, I picture it like an old T-Bird convertible,
Exactly.
something low key, slow, just not a hot rod, and that's what they're gonna have is a hot rod. And
I still this is like a cool version of being low key, because this thing it's gonna be presentable as low key until you look closely.
Oh yeah. Well, even just seeing it out in public in the condition it's in, they're gonna be like, "What is that thing doing out on the road?" Because it's not just as hard life that this truck has lived, and you see that out on the street in front of you or in a parking lot or anything, you're going to look twice regardless, just because it's like that should belong in the trees somewhere, or not cruising around. So it's going to get your attention, that part of it. But and then when you go up to it and you actually look in the inside, and you're going to look underneath the hood, and it's just going to, and underneath it's going to be like never saw that coming, because a lot of people are going to think it's either on an SN chassis, or if it's not on the S10 chassis, they're going to think that, possibly it's all bone stock underneath, and somebody just jammed like a small block Chevy in it, or something like that, and then when they see it's actually on a chassis and it's LS, and
they could pass them on a curve doing 90 with that thing. That would be the coolest thing.
Yeah.
But God, just it makes me want to just go get the wheels and tires ordered for that thing.
Yeah, I know we should, but
I really should.
Yeah, but great people though. Honestly,
Yeah,
I actually, I enjoy visiting with our customers that come in. It's always nice to BS with them a little bit and visit with them. But I really like when John and what's her name again? Kay.
John and Kay.
When they come in to visit us, like, she is so super nice. She's, always joking and, laughing and smiling on her face. It's kind of like when Jay's wife, Audrey, would come in, and God, I loved it because she was so nice and just bubbly and just like full of energy. And it's, it's just like, you just want to talk to that person just to see how their day's going. And it brings a lot of cheer. So it's kind of nice with some of these customers that come in that you can take 10, 15 minutes and visit with them. And they're just great, super people.
Yeah. I think right away when I first started working for you, I'd get nervous when I'd have these, I'm not going to say the word playing, but we're responsible for a good portion of their money and how their funds are being allocated. So I'd get nervous. Like, I always felt like I was being...
You're like a stockbroker, because people are like, they're giving you the money and be like,
For sure.
like, here it is, don't lose me money.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
when you think about it, that's what you are.
But then I'm also a stockbroker for you,
Yeah,
too.
because I'm the house, so it's like,
Yeah,
don't
it's
lose
like
me
it's
money.
like you're the government. I'm the stockbroker in between the government and then the client.
Yeah.
And but now it's like,
you have to make both us happy. Yeah.
yeah. No, it's fine.
Yeah.
But now, like I said, I kind of feel bad for you because I get to have like these awesome, enjoyable half hour. I try to keep them to a half hour, but sometimes they turn into an hour. Just conversations with these people, they're just people, friends, clients, however you want to look at them. And I enjoy that. So it's like I used to be nervous. Now I look forward to them. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, and it's nice because there's a lot of times too where I'll be out,
especially after the relationship's built.
Yeah.
And
there's a few times that I'm out and about and somebody will come up to me and be like, yeah, hey, I was in your shop and I was visiting with Rob and he hooked me up on this and took care of me on that. And it's like, and you are, and there's some I don't get to see all the customers, so even just getting that, it makes a guy feel good. But yeah, it is. It's nice to have, when these people come in and see their stuff, but it's more, it is business, because they are there for a reason, but it is nice because just like I've said before, and I've said it 100 times, by the time we're done with this, it wasn't just a customer relations, like we're friends, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of our customers do come back just to stop in and say hi or see what's going on or anything new. Like, look at the people that stop in and see us that started out as a customer that frequently come in just to see what cool stuff that we're working on.
Yeah. And it's like not even new customers. It's like, so you had a pretty decent customer basis before I started working for you. And, taking, for instance, Clayton Ponzer. Mm-hmm. You and Clayton probably know each other very well.
No, but I didn't know at first clue who he was.
Well, right.
Yeah.
But after you did kind of stage one where you did the 383 swap and you did the interior on his K, well, that truck came back because he was probably playing too hard with that truck and grenaded his T-case adapter, and then that kind of shifted into us kind of making a little bit better runner down the highway, and the swap we did in that truck was not very common. Mm-mm. So even though he was a good Dakota Customs customer, he didn't know me from Adam.
Right.
So going through this, and there'll be some times where he kind of got frustrated with, just because I was dealing with some tough timelines of getting parts, because this was not very common. Parts were not very readily available. Mm-hmm. But through this process, now me and him are good. Like, we're like we buddies, shoot the crap. Mm-hmm. God, that just sounds weird.
No, I know.
I want to say it so bad. Anyways,
I think we get it, but yeah.
Okay, but it's just like the process is these custom undertakings that we go through with these customers. It's like we climb a mountain together. Mm-hmm. When we get to the top, it's like we did it. Mm-hmm. And that creates mutual respect.
Yeah, it's very interesting on the job.
Interesting dynamic.
Yeah, it is. It's how you build a relationship together through that project, if that makes sense. Because like you said, when a customer comes in and tells you, like, say, like, again, like, we'll use Clayton's as an example, but like I said, you didn't know him at first. So he comes in and says, hey, I want this job done. So you look at him as like a brand new customer to you. And then you guys went on this journey together and you guys both accomplished it together. But how many times you do that in a day? How many times you do that in a week? You know, how many accomplishments do you get with the customer? Because not only that, but you're constantly educating that customer. You're constantly in queue with that customer. You're constantly informing that customer. You know, like it's like they're the Rocky Balboa and you're the old dude in the corner, the grumpy old man, and you're like, hey, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. Come on, just a little bit more. Like you're that guy to get them through this journey to get what they want. So, you know, and it is, that's what you think about.
Yeah.
Because if you just did like most people, and let's just say somebody just wants to order a set of wheels, you take their order, you give them their wheels, you say thanks, see you later, and you're done, you know, but that's not what we do. It's not what you do. Every customer that comes in, you're taking a journey somewhere with that customer.
Yeah, there was, I think this is kind of what solely feels so rewarding. There was a couple times where I did my homework and I wanted to tell Clayton, this is not possible. Straight up. Based off the specs on his rear end. And I was like, I would never tell someone we're not the company for the job. I did not. I would never say that. I will exhaust every single option before I say that. And so when I started slowly putting the pieces together to make this drivetrain issue come together to what he wanted, started building a little momentum, then a little bit more momentum. Then it's like, all right, we're rolling. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of got a few setbacks with having to replace that tail shaft to make the T-case work. And then it's like, okay, we'll get through it. You know, it's like, yeah. So it's...
But the thing is, like, that's something that we deal with almost on an everyday basis. Like, nothing just snaps together and just works.
No.
You know, I would love if that was the case, but...
Well,
I can't say never, but it's more not than it does ever just work and go together and it just fits and everything's good to go the first go around. Like it just so it usually does not work that way at all.
Yeah, I mean, and I had this morning I was over at Inland Truck Parts. We're taking commercial rear ends on this 62 International commercial truck. We'll have a twin turbo Duramax stuffed under the hood, and essentially I got to make the final drive on this truck work with this. And I was explaining all the dynamics to the guy that was trying to help me get this rear end figured out, and he's like, Rob, this is going to be a nightmare. There's too many variables. It's like, no, that's not. I was like, tell you what, appreciate your set in stone work at your set in stone jobs. There's consistency in them, but appreciate that. So I'll tell you right now, sometimes it's not worth it. Mm-hmm. But so I just said that and just laughed, and I was like, it's everything's a challenge. It's like,
well, you know, and it is, and it's crazy because okay, now like let's just put this in perspective. So if you, let's just say again, if you're working at and I'm going to use Inland Truck Parts just because we dealt with them.
And they're great. They're awesome.
Yeah, every time you go in there, super great guys. But you go in there, like these guys are used to working on these specific models, and that's what they're great at. I mean, they're OEM replacement stuff. There's a book, there's a part number, you can get something. So they're very good at what they do, but everything.
They are good.
So it's everything. You bring in your make and model of a truck, they order parts for that your make and model, and they get you out the door, and they do what they do, and they're great at it.
From a drivetrain standpoint, there's nothing custom on a commercial truck. From a drivetrain standpoint,
right? It's stock in, stock out. You replace it with another piece that's OEM or as good as, and you get them on the road, and they keep rolling. Now, you got to think, somebody comes in the door and they drop off a 62 International truck. 2-ton, right? 1.5 ton.
60 series.
It's got to be a 2-ton.
It's got to be a 2-ton.
2-ton truck.
Yeah.
So they drop that off, which is bone stock. Then they say, hey, I have this rear end out of was it a Peterbilt or something?
No, it's
Or
actually, and that's the funny.
Kodiak?
No, it's out of a bus. It's out of a.
That's even worse.
It's
yeah.
out of a
So-
Thomas bus, and so sometimes these buses have reverse cut third members if they're pushers. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, there's another variable. It's
Well,
like,
right.
and
So here, this guy's, because that's the axle he wants. This is the chassis he wants. This is the truck he wants. And then on top of it, he's like, yeah, I'm donating was it a 2015 Duramax, I think it is?
no, it was an 05.
05?
Yeah.
So he's got an 05 Duramax that he's like, I'm put all the running gear and electronics out of that in and make all this work. Well, okay. So is that what did you grow up specializing in the drivetrain of that school bus? You know what I'm saying? Did
Yeah.
you grow up in specializing in that 62 International, like you're the international guy? No. So now you have to sit and research and be like, okay, how can I make this work? Like you're a problem solver.
Yeah.
And when people bring stuff to us, that's what we deal on a daily basis. If we looked at this and been like, man, that's not an international Ruan, we can't do that. I'm sorry, but go somewhere else. No, we're like, we have to make this work. There's some way, somehow, we have to make this work. And we research it and we make the phone calls and we do what we have to do to make, like, there has to be a way to make this work. But that's the stuff that we deal with all the time. Now, can you imagine if a person couldn't problem solve that? You don't kind of get what I'm saying? Like, look at the variables. Look at, you have to make all that work. You're not just going to open up the international book and be like, okay, does it say in here where if we were going to put a Duramax?
If we have A, B, and C, will that work?
Yeah, and it doesn't work that way.
No.
And it takes so much time to research it and make the phone calls and figure it out. And we are in business to satisfy customers.
And more times than not to brag, they turn out better than what they had envisioned.
Absolutely.
They do.
Yeah.
Dave's bike.
I was just going to say Dave's bike. And I remember that conversation from day one when he came up into the office and he had these photos that he printed off and he's thinking, this is what I want. I want like this part of the bike. I want this part, and this part. And he's kind of showing us ideas and I've already got this thing built in my head and I already know what color. I mean, I was already 20 steps in front of him, and to see the look on that guy's face when we finished the bike and when he looked at me and he's
speechless.
He is. And it's such a good feeling that you can have a guy that comes to you that's been to shows, he knows what he wants, he's researched, and he's even came out, and I'm just using Dave as an example, but he's even said, he goes, I've always wanted to do something like this, but I could never do something like this. So for me to come to you guys to make my dream, my reality, my vision come true is priceless. And it to see that satisfaction on their face, you don't sit back and look at it and be like, yeah, well, I made X amount of dollars off of you. That's not what it's about. Or be like, well, if it wasn't for my business, you wouldn't be here. And it's like, if anybody thinks that, it's BS and it's just dumb.
I don't think anybody ever would either.
Well,
I don't know.
But when you look at them and when you look at that and you sit back and it's like, you know what? I made that customer's dream come true. I made the reality come true. I made their vision come true. That's what we're in business for. So again, thanks for listening to this episode of Unriveted. And again, don't forget to drop comments on our Facebook. And keep up on watching our website and our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, on our projects and the stuff that we got going on. Yeah. Don't forget to follow and like. And also, too, I think we've also talked about we're trying to put something together, possibly with somebody else, in doing a pumpkin carving contest. I know, like, that's something that we just started talking about. We're going to start getting the details together, and it's going to be obviously kid friendly. It's basically going to be kind of directed towards the kids to get them to come down. I don't know exactly where we're going to host this yet, but we are working on it. We're trying to get so we can have food. door prizes, all of that kind of stuff. But we're going to make it a event that bring the family, kids, and we'll supply the pumpkins, and we're doing some kind of a family orientated pumpkin carving contest. So stay tuned for that. We will announce it as we start getting more details, and we'll be making posts of it too. So stay tuned for that. That should be fun.
Yeah, and if you guys want to get off your phone or not be on social media, come see us at the shop and can show you guys around and show you guys exactly what we're talking about, like what we just talked about on today's podcast. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
okay, again, appreciate for listening. Until next time, see you later.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to Unriveted Radio. Also available on demand with the SuperTalk 1270 mobile app. Download in the App Store or Google Play today. Unriveted Radio, presented by Dakota Customs, a full-service custom garage on the Strip in Mandan.
This program has been paid for by